Castle was hardly ignorant of the labor challenges posed by industrial plantations. His grandfather, Samuel Northrop Castle, was a founding partner in Castle and Cook, one of Hawaii's Big Five sugarcane growing and processing corporations. Although Castle expressed confidence that Firestone was conscientiously operating in Liberia so as to avoid any charge of peonage or forced labor, he nevertheless asked Francis to include the practices of Firestone as well as those of the Liberian government in his intelligence gathering. Castle worried about a time when the State Department and Firestone might be held responsible for conditions under which forced labor prevailed, particularly with respect to work on the plantations. When that day comes, the Hawaii-born diplomat warned, it seems highly important that the U.S. government be in a position to show beyond question where the responsibility for such conditions rests and be able to show that American influence has been exerted against such conditions. That day came sooner than even Castle perhaps anticipated. Francis's undercover work had barely begun when Raymond Buell, a young left-leaning Princeton-trained political scientist, delivered a speech at Williams College in western Massachusetts. Buell had recently published The Native Problem in Africa, a comprehensive 2-volume study of the economic, political, and social conditions arising from colonial rule that Africa's indigenous peoples faced. Commissioned by the Committee of International Research of Harvard University and Radcliffe College, with funding by the Rockefeller Foundation, the book was based on a 15-month investigative trip Buell made to Africa, where he visited 18 territories, each occupied by Britain, France, or Belgium, and the Republic of Liberia. His analysis of the Firestone concession and the U.S. State Department's role in influencing the company's negotiations with the Liberian government was particularly hard-hitting. His remarks, prepared for a conference hosted by the Williamstown Institute of Politics in August 1928, elaborated on the charges outlined in his book. Buell, an international relations expert, accused then-Secretary of Commerce Herbert Hoover of using his power in the U.S. government to pressure Liberian officials to accept a deal greatly beneficial to an American manufacturer, but costly to Liberia. Everywhere in Africa where Buell had observed the plantation system, confiscation of indigenous land and coercion and mistreatment of laborers had occurred. The United States may soon find itself in the position of fostering conditions in Liberia which will make forced labor for private profit inevitable, Buell declared, and at the same time of shielding Liberia from the efforts of the outside world to protect the native population. A company and a government had colluded to throw its influence against the native farmer in favor of the outside capitalist. This was blatant economic imperialism. It was a scheme, Buell predicted, that might sooner or later make Liberia into another Haiti or Nicaragua, a reference to the U.S. military occupation of both countries that was carried out in part to protect American private investment. Somehow, government officials had gotten wind of Buell's plans and alerted Firestone.